Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Sit Down with Malik Wright, presented by First Star Logistics, live from the First Star Logistics studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host. We've got Evan McPhillips here. I was about to call you Evan McPherson again, man. I was going to.
Because I'm money, baby. I'm money, baby.
And then we have Jules, not so cool Jules in the building, the Cavaliers and Reds fan, all things Ohio. But before we jump into the show, we have a jam-packed show. Make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and as we always say, join in on the conversation, right? Join in the conversation. We have a point in the show where we answer all your questions, and we talk about everything. It could be things related to sports, things not related to sports. Hopefully we keep it to sports. But with that being said, let's start this off in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, has pretty much announced on Twitter, abruptly, I would say, that he has officially requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. He said he requested a trade pretty much at the beginning of this month, has yet to have it fulfilled. Ravens fans are in shambles. Ravens fans are upset. Ravens fans are pissed. They don't know if they're pissed at the Ravens. They don't know if they're pissed at Lamar Jackson. But one thing's for sure, Ravens fans are pissed. And they're letting their voice be heard under Instagram posts, Twitter posts, TikTok posts, things of that nature. And we're here to break it all down for you. I have a lot of thoughts on the Lamar Jackson situation. I'm sure Jules has a lot of thoughts on the Lamar Jackson situation. But first and foremost, we're going to kick it off to my main man, Ev. Ev, what do you make of Lamar Jackson announcing to the world, albeit he timed it up perfectly, right?
Sure did.
Right when Harbaugh was going up on stage, he announced that pretty much he had requested a trade. Evan, let's hear your thoughts on that.
Man, I think it's a lot of what we talked about before, right? Where it's not necessarily that the Ravens didn't handle this in a fiscally intelligent way, right? You can have the other teams negotiate for you on this non-exclusive tag and basically say, if you can get a better offer, we'll match it, blah, 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 right? We all know the song and dance with that, but we've talked too about how maybe Lamar is holding out a little bit on the team because he's worried about his health and doesn't feel good about how negotiations have gone. And that's Harbaugh at the end of the season going, well, I don't know why he's not playing. I don't know. You'll have to ask him. And you've got his teammates coming out afterwards and saying, well, the guy's still hobbling around all the time. So, like, what do you expect him to do? So the whole situation has been really unclear. You got the report the other day about some random guy reaching out who's not an NFLPA certified agent. And then Lamar himself comes back out later and shuts that down. Like, you might have a little more insight onto what's going on with that. But I think it was Tony Jefferson said it best when he said, man, it's best for two parties to part ways here because the relationship has just gotten so toxic and the level of disrespect felt on both sides, that the Ravens maybe didn't feel that Lamar is committed to them, and Lamar didn't feel like the Ravens are committed to him or willing to give him what he thinks he's worth, being a 26-year-old former MVP, a guy who is one of the best offensive weapons in the league. I think it's best for everybody to just kind of wipe their hands clean of this one and let it go and part their ways. You know, maybe the Colts come through and put an offer in there for Lamar Jackson, but I just don't see a way that they necessarily bridge that gap and repair this relationship with where it's at now.
Jules, we gotta hear your thoughts.
I said it like 10 times last time. I think both sides are being extremely petty. That means a lot coming from me because I'm a pretty petty person, as most people probably know. I love and I hate it that he brought it to Twitter at the same time Harbaugh was going up to speak. That is so funny to me. But like you said, they're not going to repair that relationship. There's no point of going back. I don't see how he could have went back. It doesn't shock me that I requested a trade. But my thing is, if the Ravens don't want to pay Lamar what he thinks he's worth, why has no one else stepped up? Why has it been so quiet? I guess that's my question is, are other teams wanting to pay what he thinks he's worth, especially with the guaranteed money? No one really seems to be wanting to do that. And once again, it goes back to the Watson contract. No one, I mean, that really fumbled like the whole NFL. No pun intended.
No, I hear you on that one. You know, one of my favorite songs of last year was a song by Quavo and the late great Takeoff. It was called Messy, right? That's one of my favorite songs. And to me, that pretty much describes this entire situation between the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It's a messy situation. It's messy on both parts. I don't like the way Baltimore handled it. I don't like the way Lamar handled it. And we all know this about relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships, whether it's working relationships. If you have issues, you should keep those issues private. Mm-hmm. You should. Because once it gets out public, there's no repairing that relationship because everybody pretty much has an opinion. Everybody's going to want to pull you in one direction or another direction. Everybody's going to want to take a side. It almost reminds me of, do you guys remember when we were growing up, that movie, The Twilight? What was it? Twilight? It was,
which one? There was like a lot.
Where people were picking sides. It was like the vampire side.
The vampires or like the werewolves?
Yeah, the werewolves. Yeah, people were picking like, I don't know who Taylor Lautner, I remember, was in the movie.
Taylor Lautner is a lot more hot.
I thought you were aiming for Twilight Zone, not Twilight.
No, Twilight. You remember when people were arguing and they were like, hey, I'm Team Werewolf.
Team Jacob or Team Edward.
That's literally what the Ravens have done to the Lamar Jackson situation. They have caused their fan base to be split. They have called Team Edward, Team Jacob. I like that. They've caused their fan base to be split. Now you have people saying, screw the Ravens, we're a poverty franchise. Then you have people saying, screw Lamar, he's greedy. He was committed to a championship with us. And well, this is what you have now. You have two sides unhappy, and then it's like a nasty divorce essentially. Now, where are the kids gonna go? Are the kids gonna go with Lamar, right? Or are the kids gonna go and stick with the Ravens? To me, it has to suck. It has to suck because it's so hard to find a franchise quarterback in this league. Mm-hmm. It's so hard. Excuse me. It's not hard to find a franchise quarterback in the league. It's hard to find a damn good one that plays to an MVP caliber level like Lamar Jackson in this league. And I feel for Ravens fans and for people that say, you don't know what you're talking about. You guys got Joe Burrow. Ain't wrong. We had a quarterback here in Cincinnati by the name of Carson Palmer that pretty much hit us with the Ed Sheeran, you need me, man, I don't need you. And they pretty much broke up with us and said we were moving on to a different direction. And that sucks to be pretty much told that you're not wanted. So I can feel for Baltimore Ravens fans. I really would have wished that this thing would have been played out a little bit differently. And this is me taking my fandom out of it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about strictly from a organizational standpoint and Lamar Jackson's standpoint as well. This situation could have 100% been handled differently. What are you guys' thoughts?
I agree. I feel like it's just a lot of drama because other teams are looking at this and being like, do we really want to deal with this too? At least, I mean, right. I'm sure it's not that deep. They probably just want someone that's a franchise quarterback. They don't really care how they act, but I feel like it does have a part how they decide. And plus, I don't think a lot of teams are going to want to give up 2 first-round picks either. So that was the issue for the longest time. It's just, there's a lot of things that both sides have done wrong.
Well, I mean, they offered him Daniel Jones money. I mean, the former MVP, you're talking about the guy who people didn't know if he was going to be a free agent, if they even wanted to bring him back this year. And you're talking about, we're going to give you Daniel Jones money. Man, that's rough. And obviously he probably wants that long-term contract too. And also, it's one thing to say, you're right. The Ravens could have just given him the contract he wanted outright. The reason that we're probably not seeing other teams come out and offer these large contracts is because if they are held to it, they got to give up 2 firsts on top of that. And there's a difference between saying, hey, we're going to sign you to a $50 million a year deal fully guaranteed for 4 years, or 80 or 90% guaranteed, on top of adding 2 first-round picks on that, because that's a different negotiation for Lamar and the Ravens, right? Versus another team that's given up 2 first-round picks on top of that. So I think there's a little bit of that working where people are like, oh, well, if people thought he was worth the contract, it's like, well, it's the contract and 2 first-round picks, and you risk doing all that work that the Ravens might just match you anyway. And if that was their intention, just freaking pay the man.
Well, here's the unique thing about the Lamar Jackson situation now. Now that it's out of the bag, Lamar Jackson can sign his tender or his tag, whatever the case may be. And now a team doesn't have to match, quote unquote, match, right? What the compensation the Baltimore Ravens are asking for, meaning 2 first-round picks or whatever the hell they're asking for to acquire a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Now it's whatever the 2 teams decide upon, right? Because there is no more matching when it comes to that. Now it's, okay, Lamar, do you pay a disgruntled Lamar Jackson for a year, and then you find yourself back in the exact same situation next year? Or do you trade him? Do you trade him, but you offload out the books? Because damn, you got to figure that's going to be a very tense situation, right? You're paying a guy, what, $40 million some odd a year to be your franchise quarterback, knowing damn well they have every intention on leaving, and you don't know if they're going to give you their all. That means if he gets a paper cut, that guy might say, hey, I'm hurt. I don't want to play. You're not going to get a fully bought in Lamar Jackson because it's now made public. It's now out there. It's now known that this guy does not want to be Baltimore for life. So let me ask you this question, Jules, Evan. Are we all under the same belief that Lamar, can we all agree Lamar Jackson could have handled the situation better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I guess the next question that I want to ask is, what's going to make an organization want to trade for Lamar Jackson, right? With that in mind, knowing, hey, this guy didn't give Baltimore his all. Who's to say he won't give us his all if things go like put yourself in the organization's shoes for a second. Are you guys signing Lamar Jackson? Let's say if you're a quarterback needy team, are you going after Lamar Jackson and bringing him into your organization and building an offense around him and saying, Lamar Jackson, you're our guy? Jules. Answer truthfully.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously a lot of the off-field and how everything has went so far has just been, like I said, drama and unnecessary from both sides. It's definitely not just on Lamar. He also did put this on himself by not having an agent, but that's besides the point. I don't know. It depends how desperate teams are, I guess. But I mean, he's obviously not bad. I saw somewhere earlier today that people think he's past his peak. I really don't think he is. So I would want him. I don't see why you want it, honestly.
No, I feel that. I feel that. Evan, what are your thoughts? I feel like you have a lot of thoughts. I know you had a lot of thoughts on Aaron Rodgers.
How many excuses do we make for first-round quarterbacks that weren't successful? How many question marks do we overlook? How many seasons of play do we overlook and say, I can fix that guy? I mean, shoot, Sam Darnold looked like a wreck in New York, and suddenly he's worth what? Second-round conditional first-round picks? Carson Wentz looked like an absolute nuclear bomb in 2 different locations and still is getting traded for first-rounders. So how many things are we going to overlook for all these broken quarterbacks, for all these starved franchises that desperately want any type of talent at the quarterback position? And yet we're sitting here looking at a guy who's been successful every year in the league, who has achieved the epitome of what you're looking for in a quarterback and an MVP. You're talking about a guy who his question is, in his contract year with the Ravens, who we had plenty of players, current and former, come out and say, this strength team and strength coach and physical trainers have a feud, and it hurts the players and hurt me and ruin my career.
RG3.
We can look at different scenarios like that and say, we know how poisonous the locker room is with their strength and conditioning staff. We saw what happened with RG3, and we can rationalize why Lamar wasn't in it this year. Because that's the only thing you have to overlook for him to say, I understand where he was as a person this year, versus you're overlooking game after game, season after season of mind-boggling play from guys like Carson Wentz and like Sam Darnold. And these guys are worth a first-round pick or 2 and a $40 million contract, but Lamar isn't.
All right.
That's what I have a problem with, right? That's where I come from.
And I agree with you. I think when you look at the Lamar Jackson situation, we have to ask ourselves a question. And I think every organization has to ask themselves this question too, if they actually want to upgrade at the quarterback position. Do we feel as if Lamar Jackson has peaked? Do we feel like we've seen the best Lamar Jackson to date? Is there any room for improvement? Is there any room for growth? If the answer is yes, he can improve. If the answer is yes, we believe that he has another level to get to. Every team, quarterback needy team, should be beating down that door, honestly.
Absolutely.
Because I can look at both stances and I can say, maybe Lamar Jackson never asked the Baltimore Ravens for this style of offense that he was given in Baltimore.
Right.
He ran a pro-style offense at Louisville.
And what's he going back to in Baltimore if he goes back?
Right.
How is it going to be better?
So my thought process is, I've seen Lamar Jackson throw to wide receivers in college. I've seen Lamar Jackson be able to be a capable starting quarterback, right? And hand the ball off and run play action and not run so heavy. The fact of the matter is, people want to talk about Lamar Jackson's play style, and I was one of those people as well, but I had to go back and I had to actually look. And this is a part of it where you do self-analysis with yourself, right? The guy, when he had talent around him, he was trying to get the most out of him. It wasn't a lot of stuff. It wasn't fair to ask of him to throw to a guy like Hollywood Brown, who would be injured every other game, right? And solely have Mark Andrews as the only tight end. Well, who was the next wide receiver? Did Lamar Jackson?
Sammy Watkins, the ghost of Deshaun Jackson, Miles Boykin.
Right.
I mean, this is not Rashad Bateman slander, but again, you've got receivers that when they're out there, they're fine, but 2 or 3 games and then you're injured for the rest of the season isn't helping you.
You know, a buddy of mine who's a Baltimore Ravens fan sent me a text this morning. He was like, we're done. Cincinnati's division is Cincinnati's division for the future. And here's what I said to him. I said, it could be different though. It really could. Like, and Jules, I butted in at any point in time, but I said, he was like, well, we got our number 1 wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar. I said, and see, that's the issue right there when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. It seems like from a receiving standpoint, they've done the bare minimum, right? They've done the bare minimum. They really have done the bare minimum to surround this guy with premium weapons. If I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm doing what it takes to get Lamar Jackson back in that building, because guess what? At this point, it's late in the game. Okay. It's late in the game to be able to go out there and get a quarterback and build an entire offense around said quarterback's skill set, et cetera, et cetera. Get Lamar Jackson back in here. He's your franchise quarterback. He's the guy that and then you know what the next move I'm making is? If you want to, the next move I'm making, Jules, is I'm calling the Arizona Cardinals and I'm seeing whatever it takes to get DeAndre Hopkins. That's what I'm doing.
That's a number 1 right there.
Those are the moves that I'm making.
Talking about a 30-year-old Nelson Aguilar is your number 1. That's pretty bleak, man. Yeah. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, that's a much better look. I like that.
And that's my thought process. Are we committed to are they committed to minimum? Are they committed to the bare minimum? Or are they committed to actually bringing championships to Baltimore? To me, it always seemed like the writing was on the wall with this whole Lamar Jackson situation. Right. As much as they said that Lamar Jackson's our guy, Lamar Jackson's our guy, Lamar Jackson's our guy, their action, and they're act. And Lamar, I gotta shout out Lamar for a second. That was beautifully timed up, right?
Oh yeah, I love that.
He put that. He put that tweet out, and a reason why I put that tweet out, because there was a lot of lies floating around in Indy. There was a lot of lies floating around in Indy when we were at the combine, and DaCosta and Harbaugh get up on the stage and they're saying Lamar's our guy. We want to keep Lamar here. Blah blah XYZ. We're gonna handle Lamar Jackson. But negotiations are gonna go great. And then behind the scenes is something completely different. The fact of the matter is, things got screwed up when they decided to pay an off-ball linebacker what they decided to pay an off-ball linebacker, and their franchise quarterback was still sitting there waiting for a deal.
Yep.
That's where things got screwed up. And I think Baltimore has to be open and honest with themselves about the situation, because I don't think that they handled it in the best way as possible. Does Lamar Jackson need to fix his eating habits? Yes. Does Lamar Jackson need to take better care of his health? Yes. Can Lamar Jackson handle it better and be the franchise quarterback that the Baltimore Ravens are expecting to be? Yes. So for me, it's one of those things where they got to figure that situation out ASAP, because time is ticking right now, right? Time is ticking. It's either going to be a lost season or it's going to be, all right, let's get this guy out of here. And I see in the comment section, JJ, I appreciate you, my man, always being here. Thanks for not making fun of my forehead today. But he said,
looks great.
he said Lamar is injury prone. I can understand why that is, but I also want to caution before I just throw titles out there and label people with certain stuff. I want to also mention, could it be the guy's injury prone because he has no weapons around him to help get him to the next level, so he feels like he has to do a lot more, because they didn't have a sufficient running game without him? Let's talk about it. Who was his receivers? Who was he throwing to? So I'm not here to make excuses for Lamar Jackson, but remember, the same people that praise Baltimore's front office and praise Baltimore's coaching staff for being able to acquire all these pieces and draft all this talent should be the same people that we're holding to the fire and the same people we're holding accountable, saying that they did not do everything in their power to surround this guy with the winning roster. Jules?
I guess my finishing question is, how are you going to say someone's your man or your franchise quarterback and essentially not build around them or give him any weapons? Like you said, that's really all I have to ask. Is they did nothing to help him and then act offended when he requests a trade and they're like, oh, wow, we had no idea. Like, I don't know, maybe because he was sick of not getting help or you not actually proving to everyone else that he is your guy and he is your man. So I don't know how the Ravens can play the victim. I mean, I don't think either person's technically the victim, but that's my question. Why are they not building around them? They did literally nothing.
Exactly. So for me, when you hear them say, oh, that's our guy, XYZ, it kind of just falls on deaf ears a little bit like that. And you even heard some players come out and say, well, you're going to stop blaming 8. You're going to stop saying 8 is the cause of XYZ or why things aren't playing out because you didn't do everything in your power to help Lamar Jackson. And that's something that I feel as well. So just my 2 cents, just my thought process on the Lamar Jackson situation. Daniel, I know you're behind the camera now, right? Yeah. But do you have anything you want to add to the Lamar Jackson thing, my man? We certainly want to include you in the conversation and the audience in the conversation.
Yeah, no, the biggest thing for me, my biggest takeaway is it shows through all the, the tea leaves that the Ravens I'm not going to say don't care about Lamar Jackson, but they don't value him. And that's what I've got from this. I've got from this that they don't value him like a franchise quarterback. Daniel Jones, to Evan's point, got paid the bag. They paid a linebacker before him. They must see that they can either do this with other quarterbacks like Tyler Huntley, or they can succeed with a different quarterback, because if they really felt that they can win a Super Bowl with them, they would have paid him already. So that's just what I get from it, that they just must not view him as their franchise quarterback, because you don't head this far into the game with, not paying your guys. So that's my conclusion, that they just don't value him like a franchise quarterback. And I don't think he's going to be there within the next 2 years. I think the relationship's too far gone and they just don't value him. So they must have some sort of plan, because a front office doesn't ever just go blind into it. They've got a plan that they like. And for me, it doesn't include Lamar Jackson. I'm just curious to see what that plan is.
Hey, Lamar and Tyler Huntley, same number of Pro Bowls, guys. All right. I don't know if you know this, but that means they're pretty similar.
Don't start that, Ev. Do not start that, Evan.
I'm the biggest anti-Pro Bowl popularity contest guy there is, man. That's why it drives me crazy when people are like, look how many Pro Bowls they have. And it's like 2/3 of that vote is literally from your friends on your team that one, don't watch other teams, right, or want you to get your incentives for your contract. And the other is fan vote. Like, that's 2/3 of the voting right there. You're talking Cowboys, Packers, Steelers, those giant national franchises are constantly going to have that edge. And I just, again, they've got the same number of Pro Bowls. That should tell you all you need to know about using Pro Bowls. Talk to me about all pro teams, not Pro Bowls.
I would like to add about Pro Bowls. Jacoby Brissett got robbed. Thank you. That is all. I love Jacoby Brissett. That's a good face of the franchise for the Browns. No comment on their current face.
Jacoby Brissett had a good year. Real quick, our guy Chris Hall said, if I'm the Jets, I'm trying to snag Lamar over Aaron Rodgers. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
They've sank themselves too deep into Aaron Rodgers. They've destroyed their roster in his name already.
Yeah, want to keep the conversation rolling. There is questions out there now. Who should be the number 1 overall pick? Should it be CJ Stroud? Should it be Bryce Young? Should it be Anthony Richardson? Yada, yada, yada. Those are the conversations that keep happening. And those conversations that are going to keep happening until obviously draft night. I've kind of laid my claim as to where I believe the Panthers are going to go with the 1st overall pick. Some people have went out straight up there and text me and said, Malik, you don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong. Okay, I've been wrong about a lot of things. I don't think I'm wrong about this, but we'll see. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. Now, understand something. There's who I think they should pick, and then there's who they're going to pick, right? And that comes from tea leaves, the whole 9 yards, ball, yada, 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 yada. Evan, you know what? No, Jules. Jules, give us your pick. Number 1 overall pick. Jules is the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. Who's your pick and why?
I have the numbers. I have the receipts. I'm ready to defend my favorite and the only Ohio State man I'll ever like. CJ Stroud.
Wait, so you don't like Joe Burrow?
Well, that doesn't count.
Joe Burrow went to Ohio State.
Yeah, but he played at LSU.
We can't let him.
We
can't let
count
Ohio
that.
State claim him.
Yeah, they didn't want to claim him. They didn't want to play him, but for understandable reasons. But he went and proved them wrong. Anyways, shout out Joe Burrow. Love you. I hope he's watching. But in 21, Stroud had a higher completion percentage, 71.9. And in 22, he also had a higher one. And back again, he has a bigger frame. He is obviously taller. He weighs more. He's more of a Joe Burrow-esque kind of figure. He also just has a noticeable advantage, like I said, in the completion percentage, especially in 2021. I have some numbers. He threw 6 more touchdown passes over the past 2 seasons. Obviously, the biggest thing last time was we're worried about Young being able to throw over the middle. Stroud doesn't have that issue. I feel like he checks every box, whereas Young does, but he doesn't check the height box and just overall frame. I am worried about the passing, and plus CJ Stroud has a stronger arm. He threw for further yards as well. And he doesn't run as much, but I wouldn't be that worried about it. I'd rather have someone that throws it further, personally. That was a GM. I'm taking CJ Stroud.
GM
I have
Jules.
A lot of stuff here.
GM
so
Jules.
Y'all want to come at me?
No,
I have
I'm not.
more numbers.
No, we're here. We're here. Evan, let's hear you.
I completely understand where she's coming from, and I would completely understand that because of the size, right? Bryce Young is maybe not going to be on the board for some teams, right? The same way that, like, if you had an offensive lineman who tested really well athletically, maybe he's a good fit in his own system and as a first-round pick, or if it's a power gap scheme, then maybe he's viewed as a second-round pick. You're going to have that difference with him because some teams have those measurable cutoffs where they say, hey, boom, under 6'2", like, we're not going to do it. Under 200 pounds, we're not going to do it. I feel like CJ Stroud has the higher ceiling. And the reason I say that is because Bryce is largely who he is, which is a very, very good quarterback, a very good prospect. But the way he gets better is he puts on 10 or 15 pounds, right? Which, to be seen if he can do that and play it that way comfortably. Stroud has harder things to correct, but has the tools and the measurables that are going to make him special. Jules brought up the accuracy. He's exceptionally accurate. When you talk about what his issues are, it's feeling pressure in the pocket comfortably. It's being able to navigate that pressure, not to panic if you have an unseen rusher that you weren't expecting. Being able to create a little more. You see Bryce being able to navigate the pocket, jump around, be able to kind of extend plays and create that way, which we've seen you need to do and you need to be able to do in the NFL. And whether that was something that was coached with Stroud, whether it was, hey, you know, you're more of the pocket passer anyways, go ahead and stay there and be that pocket passer. And so we saw not until even the Georgia game at the end of the season that he really started to use his legs, extend plays, get key rushes. It's not that he needs to become a rushing quarterback. It's just in those instances where, you know, the middle of the field is wide open and it's clearly man coverage and they don't have a spy, just run it up the middle and get 8-10 yards, slide down, you know,
right? Because
he is an athletic guy. So it's things that are the intangibles that scouts talk about, right? The feel. That's tough to know whether someone's going to develop that skill, right? Some people never do. All this to say that if you're looking for the most complete prospect, I understand the argument being that CJ Stroud should go number 1. If you're feeling comfortable that you can take that chance on Bryce, Jules brought up again about the intermediate part of the field this past season, even without the first round pick receivers that we're used to Alabama having, right? In the medium area, the 10 to 19 area, the intermediate area that supposedly he's going to have trouble with, 94.2 elite PFF grade. It's not a question. Sure, some of the drop backs get a little bit deep. Is it going to be hard at him for times? Is it going to be harder? Yes, but he's shown that he can do it. And I feel like he also has a little bit ways to go in processing. But if he can get even sharper than he is right now, I mean, he's going to be a very good quarterback. I just think Stroud has the higher ceiling.
I agree. I think Stroud does have the higher ceiling, honestly, but I do think Bryce Young is going to be the first overall pick. And I've pretty much outlined that the last few weeks as to why I believe that's the case. And all the tea leaves coming out of, you know, Indy, everyone believes Bryce Young is the consensus number one overall, is the best quarterback in this draft class right now, like pro ready right now. I do think CJ Stroud is going to go on and have the better career, but I don't know if that's saying too much, honestly. I don't know who's going to be the best quarterback coming out of this draft class as a whole, to be quite honest with you. Somebody said they're all bust. I'd go Jamarcus Russell, number one, hands down. That's funny. But moving the conversation forward, before we switch gears here, this upcoming Thursday is a special day in sports. It's opening day. It's opening day. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm not the biggest baseball guy. I am not. But opening day is like a holiday here in Cincinnati.
Ooh, yeah.
I know there are a lot of people who are pumped up, excited for opening day, even with the Reds, quote unquote, not supposed to be, have a great season. So
they'll be good.
It's still an exciting time. I don't know. I guess I want to open up the floor a little bit here. Jules, I know you're the biggest Reds fan. You're the biggest Reds fan I know personally. What do you have planned? What is your tradition, so to speak? Okay. What do you have planned for this upcoming Thursday for the Reds?
All right. I don't know much, but I do know opening day, even though this is only my second time. But
anything planned?
Well, I'm gonna drink before the game. All right, so I start at Fountain Square. They have live music, I think, and that DJ and all that fun stuff. They have little like vendors with alcohol and cute little koozies. I got a free one last year. I don't know where it went. I think I lost it. Doesn't matter. I think there's also food. I could be wrong. I don't remember much, but I remember that it was fun. Last year was against the Guardians, which was a dream come true for me because it was I hope both teams have fun.
Oh yeah.
Cup for me.
Oh, yeah.
Both teams had fun at first, and this is my analysis. Then they did not. Shout out to the Reds for giving up a grand slam to Jose Ramirez last year, but it's okay. We're talking about this year. It's a new year, new Reds.
Time to get excited. Time to get pumped up.
It's time to get excited.
Let's go.
So if you're in the opening day, you got to go to Fountain Square. Watch the parade at Fountain Square. That's what I did at least. Well, don't all go there, please, because I want my spot. So go somewhere else. But then you got to go to the banks, of course. Holy Grail.
Is that how you're planning your opening day?
Yes. I get my little to-go drinks, my little frozen drinks, and then the game's at 4:10, approximately 2:30.
That sounds like fun. Well,
so good.
Like I said, being a part of the First Star family is pretty damn cool. That is what I'll say, right? So cool that, Jules, I have a little bit of a surprise for you.
Oh, no. Wait, I'm scared.
You are officially invited to the First Star Logistics Suite at the Great American Ballpark for Reds opening day.
Oh, yay!
Let's go.
Oh, yay!
So I don't know if you have any plans or not, Jules. I mean, but I've been in that room. I've been in that suite. It's pretty awesome. Ooh. And I'm not even the biggest baseball guy, but you're officially invited to the First Star Logistics Suite opening day. You get to watch your Reds, cheer on your Reds, and tweet.
And are there hot dogs there?
There's a lot of good food there. Too much.
Do you like ketchup on your hot dogs or mustard? What's your opinions on that?
I don't eat hot dogs.
You don't eat hot dogs? Nah,
it's a ketchup dog guy.
Thank you. Everyone yells at me on Twitter, man. Do you like ketchup? Ketchup? Why are you guys so mean to me?
But guys, but in all seriousness, congratulations, Jules. There's been no bigger, Reds fan than you. You're extremely a diehard Reds fan. I'm happy for you. I know you're excited for this.
They love me.
And you said what?
I said I love them. I don't know if they love me.
I'm sure they do.
They're like, oh God, there's Jules tweeting stuff again.
Jules, I know you promised that you'd get me into baseball. I don't know if that's gonna work out for you, but I couldn't think of a more deserving person. But yeah, I hope that you have a blast in the First Star Logistics Suite this upcoming Thursday for opening day at MLB. Seriously.
Yeah. Did you hear what I said when you said you had a surprise?
What's that?
I said, oh no, is Joey Votto behind you?
Oh my God.
I was like, has he been listening the whole time?
Yeah. So
Joey, if you're watching this, I also love you.
Congrats to you. Seriously. It's going to be a blast. Moving on. We want to keep the conversation flowing. Just so you guys know, she had no idea that was coming.
No, I literally had no idea.
That was literally.
I had no idea.
I love.
Oh no.
I love surprising people. But there's a little bit of an issue going on right now, guys, in Dallas. And no, I'm not talking about Dallas Cowboys. I'm talking about the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic isn't smiling a lot. Luka isn't happy. He seems to be down. He seems to be upset. And a lot of people are saying it's because of Kyrie Irving. A lot of people are saying it's because of the acquisition of Kyrie Irving has made Luka Doncic not enjoy the game of basketball. I want to hear your thoughts, Evan, on the whole Luka Doncic situation. Let me just start by saying, for those of you who don't know, Luka Doncic is my favorite basketball player in the NBA. LeBron second. But Luka is my favorite basketball player in the NBA, man. And just seeing the guy lose his smile, right? It's been hard to see. And I am not going to be that guy that just throws Kyrie Irving under the bus because it's so easy to do. So easy to do because the guy's been, Daniel, this is his fourth or third team in the last couple of years. I feel for him. I feel for the guy. But I want to hear from you, Evan.
Ev's got something.
I don't feel for the guy.
Oh my God.
Is he making like millions of dollars?
No, I'll tell you why I don't feel for the guy. I don't feel for the guy because this turmoil has followed him every single place he's gone. And when you sit around and you say, gosh, if you're at your office and you say, God, we have 4 incidents at work this week. What's the common thread between all these incidents? And there's one guy at the heart of every single one. You go, I think I know what the cause is. Now, this is not to say that Kyrie hasn't been out there putting up points and doing well on offense because until he kind of re-aggravated his injury, he has. But again, it's all the other stuff you're not getting from Kyrie Irving because he's not always as involved on the defensive end or on the rebounding or on the assist and playmaking. And that's fine because Luka is that guy. But we've seen this at multiple stops, guys. We've seen him go into Boston, say, I love it here. I want to be here forever, and then request a trade right after. Like we saw this with the Cavs, some of the immaturity stuff toward the end. I mean, we saw it with the Nets. I think, again, you can't possibly have upset this many people and not share the responsibility for what's happening, right? But at the same time, it's not all on Kyrie Irving. And I say that as someone who has wanted nothing to do with the guy since he went and wrecked the situation in Boston. The Mavs made this move out of desperation, right? They wanted to get better. They needed someone to pair with Luka to help carry the burden of the offense, right? This was not a move to make yourself competitive immediately. There's still holes all over this roster. Even though you got Kyrie Irving, it doesn't fit.
Whoa. We're talking about the same Dallas Mavericks that were in the Western Conference Finals last year. This move was 100% made thinking that would take them over the top.
This roster is completely
different.
Oh, no,
I agree with
That's
you.
what I'm saying.
No. We're agreeing more than we're disagreeing. But what I'm saying is the Mavericks, Evan, we're seeing eye to eye, bro. Like the Mavericks are
think that they got competitive.
Yeah,
they got Seattle Seahawks.
They said we got our guy. That's what they said.
Right.
They said we got Kyrie Irving, and the rest of the league said, "You damn right you do. You got Kyrie Irving. You sure do."
I mean, who's their third best player? 30-year-old Tim Hardaway,
bro. Tim Hardaway. They have, bro. Dwight Powell.
JaVale McGee still getting run.
Dwight Powell cost me $500 yesterday. Playing 3 minutes, listed as a starter, missed a wide open layup. He's their starting center. Can't rebound to save his life.
Hey, Maxi Kleber is taking him to the promised land, man.
Garbage.
That's what I'm saying, though, is this team is not designed to make that run, to make that push. So I don't know who's in Luka's ear telling them that they are, or who in the Mavericks organization is going at this and going, yeah, we've got one of those rosters that can compete, man. Because, I mean, you've done nothing but tank since you got to this roster.
Yeah.
You got rid of your best perimeter defender in Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah.
You're 3-8 since your 2 stars have been playing together.
Yeah.
And the defense is just not there. It's like the Kings, but without the cohesion and without the offensive depth that they have. It's just they don't have it, man. And especially like we talked about in the playoffs, defense gets tougher. You have to have more answers, and they don't.
There's a lot more that I want to say, but I want to let Jules get in here real quick and give her thoughts on the whole Luka Doncic being down scenario. For those of you who don't know, Jules is a huge Cavaliers fan. And I know she's very, very pumped up because they just clinched officially the playoffs.
Yes.
And she was at the game, and I know she's running on like 3 hours of sleep or something like that.
Yeah.
But Jules, what is your thoughts on the outside looking in? You're in the East. You don't got to worry about the Mavericks. But what are your thoughts on the Luka Doncic situation?
Gonna be honest, like I do not care about the Mavericks at all.
Mm.
I am not worried about them. But go Cavs. Shout out to the Cavs. I was there last night. I would like to say that, as you said. Great game. Jared Allen. Oh, I love him. He replaced Kevin Love for me. Anyways, a lot of people, there's some tea apparently with his girlfriend who hasn't posted on Instagram in a while. So there might be a little relationship issues involved. I think Kyrie Irving is involved. I'm not a Kyrie hater. I just find it very interesting. Like you said, he went from the Cavs. He had issues there, clearly, because he wasn't the man. Then the Celtics, he went there because he wanted to be the man, and he wasn't again. I think that was messy. And then with the Nets, that was messy.
He's the guy in the hot dog costume going, we're all trying to find who did this.
You're like, who did this? It's like the maniac sign on SpongeBob where he's like looking for the maniac with the walkie-talkie.
I'm the maniac.
I mean, I don't
Isn't that what he said?
All on Kyrie. I don't think it's all on Kyrie. I do think he might have something to do with it. I think Kyrie has brings locker room issues with him everywhere he goes. But I think I was also told he was in a legal battle against his own mom.
Oh, wow.
To control something to do with his trademark, from my understanding. I did a lot of research on this. I'm like, can't just be,
Wow.
Because I knew he was saying he wasn't happy again, but I don't know. I mean, was he not smiling before Kyrie came, or did he just completely change when Kyrie came? He completely
changed when Kyrie came.
Like when Kyrie came.
Not right away. A couple of games they came in, they were good. But if you want to know my honest opinion on the Kyrie situation, Jules, would you like to know?
Go Cavs? Yeah.
No. Here's what I have to say. I think Kyrie Irving, in my opinion, is essentially that kid that said, you know what, Dad? I'm ready to move out on my own. I'm ready to go out and be my own man. I don't need you anymore. And on the way out, you burned bridges and you said, my dad is this, my dad is that. My dad doesn't treat me like a grown man, right? And then you go out, you move away. And then you realize, holy crap, rent is expensive. Water bill is expensive. It's hard to be the leader of a household. That's what I view when it comes to the Kyrie Irving situation. And I don't mean any disrespect, right? When I say that, I'm just being honest when I say this. Kyrie Irving left Cleveland to be the man because he didn't want to be in LeBron's shadow. Remember, Kyrie Irving was not the happiest when LeBron first came back to Cleveland. If you guys remember that, he wasn't the happiest, but he had no leg to stand on. At that point, he was Kai. Right. He was just a talented player with amazing handles. Right. And then the prodigal son, LeBron James, is returning to Cleveland to take them, to the mountaintop. Remember, they had that whole ad going on where I'm coming home and LeBron James, the whole 9 yards. Right. That they did with LeBron James. LeBron James goes back to Cleveland, gets the magazine cover. LeBron James brings Kevin Love and all it goes crazy. Right. He takes them. He immediately makes Cleveland into a championship contender. And that never set well with Kyrie. Kyrie was like, man, I was supposed to be the guy. Cleveland drafted me. I didn't want to be in this guy's shadow. And I just remember Kyrie walking off the court his last game in Cleveland. No one knew it was going to be his last game in Cleveland. Next thing you know, he requested a trade. Right? That happens. Kyrie leaves. Kyrie goes to Boston. Kyrie says, I'm never leaving Boston. Well, I'm a Boston Celtics fan. Guess what, guys? He left Boston, right? It didn't go out the way we thought it was going to go. He went from Boston to Brooklyn, from Brooklyn to the Mavericks. So when I look at the situation, right, the common denominator has to be somebody. But here's the crazy thing. At some point, when do NBA teams say, you know what, Kyrie is a cancer to our locker room? At what point do NBA teams say, you know what, we're not going to sign that guy? I have an idea when that point is going to be this offseason. And you know where he's going to go back to? Dad. Go back to Dad. He's going to call Dad and say, Dad, I'm ready to come home now. I'm ready to play under you, because under LeBron was the only time in Kyrie Irving's career in which he had stability. People may not like it, but it's a fact. And I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say the things that I'm saying. I'm just calling it like I see it. It seems like none of the players that play with Kyrie are happy. James Harden, unhappy. Kevin Durant, unhappy. Jason Tatum, unhappy. Jaylen Brown, unhappy. The list goes on. Luka Doncic, unhappy. Luka always has a smile on his face. Luka just carried this Mavericks team to the Western Conference Finals. What is there to be upset about? What is there to be upset about? Maybe Luka didn't like the move. Maybe Luka didn't want Kyrie there. I certainly believe that he might have some problems in his personal life going on as well, because I probably did a little digging too, and I look at his Instagram, I see any pictures with his girlfriend and him. But that's a whole different, entirely different story. The simple fact of the matter is, I have to wonder, right? And I also don't think Jason Kidd is doing the greatest job as a head coach either. I don't. And I don't think Jason Kidd knows what he's doing, to be completely honest with you either. So when I look at the Kyrie Irving situation, I think there are a lot of factors going into this situation and why things are not working out. But a lot of people seem to be frustrated. He seems to be the T word. What's the T word, Daniel? You don't know? Toxic. That's what he seems to be. That's what he seems to be. And I hate to be that guy to say that. And I hate to pinpoint one guy, but if everybody grows gray hairs dealing with you and they seem miserable dealing with you, listen, basketball, it's a game. You're supposed to have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Luka just led this team to the Western Conference Final. This is a team where its trajectory is supposed to be going up, and somehow it's plateaued. They just lost to the Hornets twice.
They're injured too.
To who? The Hornets. No LaMelo Ball. They were losing to Mark Williams. Mark Williams.
Were they 16-point favorites?
Oh my God, bro! All I know is they were like minus 1,000 on Sunday.
It was like one of the biggest
money
upsets in the last 15.
Oh my God!
Years.
Oh wow!
You lost to Mark Williams. I don't know. Listen, at some point, that team is too damn talented with Kyrie, Luka, and the pieces that they have on the team. Like, for me, honest question, I love Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's the first NBA player I've ever met. And I remember being a young kid, 8 years old, at my after-school camp, seeing Vince Carter, who's probably has the worst attitude out of any athlete I've ever met, walking through the hallways. And all I know is he shook hands with me, and I said, "Are you Jason Kidd?" And it was a great interaction. But for me, the fact of the matter is, Jason Kidd, you are the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, right? And yet you still think it's a good idea to start Dwight Powell over Christian Wood. How does that make any sense? So for me, if you ask me, I think that there are a lot of questions to be answered, but I think blame goes all around. Mm-hmm. I don't think Luka's handling it the best way. I don't think Kyrie is definitely, whatever is going on with him is going on with him, right?
Or the Mavericks.
The Mavericks as a whole, not handling it the correct way.
Right. Just
but
from a team building aspect, just makes no sense, man.
To the Hornets, I could have respected if LaMelo Ball was playing.
That's the kiss of death, man.
Oh,
man.
I mean, if that ain't it.
And the fact that nobody has answers. It's one of those things where you look at it, you get yourself, and you say, damn, did we really just lose to this team? I mean, they could knock down a bucket to save their life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Jules, anything else you want to add to that?
Nah.
No?
I don't know. I don't really have much to add.
No, I hear you on that.
Like, you pretty much said it all.
I hear you on that. I want to keep the conversation rolling. The golden question. I know where Jules stands on this already, because she already told us. The first thing she did when she walked in is she told us how she felt. The question is, if the Lakers get into the playoffs, and they have a good chance of getting into the playoffs,
mm-hmm.
Are the Lakers a threat? Are they contenders to come out of the West for a championship this year? That's the question. That's a good question. Before you say no, let's talk about the job that Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, La GM have all done at the trade deadline. Did y'all hear what I said there? La GM, LeBron James, La GM.
Oh, I like
and
that.
How they were able to essentially remake this entire roster. Now, granted, they can't beat Patrick Beverley and the Bulls, but this team is competitive. This team is a problem. This team can provide issues. And before we continue, I just want to say, Joel Embiid, you're soft. You're soft. A claim for MVP, for who's going to be the MVP of the league, a high stakes matchup tonight against Nikola Jokic. You made some comments in the media pretty much talking about you don't need the stat pad. I guess you were taking a shot at Nikola Jokic. But this is the biggest game This is one of the biggest games of the year. This is where you supplant you make your claim to be MVP. I know you were pissed the last 2 years when they gave it to Nikola Jokic. Voters are going to remember this moment right here where you chose not to play. But that's a whole different story for a different day. We're gonna get into that. But let's talk about it. Are the Lakers championship contenders, Jules?
No, they're not. I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. I just don't see them making it very far. A team that started, it's not the worst start ever, but they didn't start very good at all. And obviously, LeBron's been dealing with injuries, and he was back last game, right? Like, he's back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they lost against the Bulls, I believe, but I mean, it's his first game back after 14 games gone. So, I mean, I think if LeBron obviously stays healthy and everyone stays healthy, I think they could get to the semifinals at least, but I do not see them in the finals at all, or even the Western Conference finals. Like, I just don't. You're really going to have to prove me wrong, because I don't know. I mean, they also have. Everyone talks about the 2020 championship, the little Mickey Mouse championship.
No, stop.
Nah. Like, that wasn't. I mean, I think this team is.
Oh, this team is better. 100%.
Yeah, this team is better than that team. But, the West is interesting right now because the teams at the top, like the Nuggets, haven't they been struggling a little bit? I don't think they're unstoppable now. If the Lakers were in the East, they would be screwed. I can tell you that. But
why? Because the Cavs are in the East?
Yeah, the Cavs.
Okay.
The Cavs are way better. The Eastern Conference is just better. And honestly, if anything, I feel like if they did make it to the finals, maybe they do have a chance, because the Eastern Conference, they're going through a lot more competitive games, in my opinion. Like, a lot of games are probably going to go to 6-7, and then they're going to be too exhausted by the time they get to the finals, maybe.
I'm gonna say it right now, Jules. I'm gonna say it right now. Now you and me have like this weird rivalry going on right now, where I'm a Boston Celtics fan, you're a Cavaliers fan. But I'm gonna say it right now. This isn't about those teams. This is about the Lakers. Daniel, put the camera on me. If the Lakers get into the playoffs, the Lakers are coming out of the West. Simple as that. If the Lakers get into the playoffs, the Lakers are coming out of the West. The Lakers, to me, are a well-balanced team. This is the best team that they've had since the LeBron era in Los Angeles. The way Anthony Davis is playing right now is lights out.
Mm-hmm.
It's team basketball. Props to Darvin Ham, and nobody talks about that hire enough. I love the question JJ just asked. Are the Nuggets championship contenders? The Nuggets, to me, are always that regular season team that does great in the regular season and then craps the bed in the playoffs. A lot like the Cavaliers without LeBron James. That's what they are. Competitive throughout, but really nothing of substance, right? Nothing of substance when the playoffs start. So if you ask me, the Los Angeles Lakers are the team to beat if they stay healthy and if they get into the playoffs, because I think that they still have the best duo in the league in Anthony Davis and LeBron James when healthy. Evan?
I think obviously the Lakers are probably going to have to figure out how to score a little better. They've been the bottom third of the league. I think 23rd the last time I checked on offensive efficiency for the season. Defensive efficiency, they're a little better. And obviously, like you said, now that they're getting healthier, that Anthony Davis has been playing better, the rotation's starting to settle in. I think it's definitely open for them to make it to the Western Conference Finals or the semifinals, because if you look at the current competition, you've got 2.5 games separating seeds 4 through 10 in the West right now. So it really is up in the air where these teams are at, what's going on, and all the teams in front of them, in front of the Lakers, have questions. You've got the Timberwolves, which obvious questions about how Rudy Gobert and Karl Towns all fit together, how Anthony Edwards is doing, all this stuff. You've got the Warriors struggling to win on the road anywhere else not named Dallas, right? You've got the Pelicans with their obvious issues, the Clippers still struggling to figure out whatever's going on with them and fit Russell Westbrook into the rotation smoothly. You've got injury issues with the Suns, with Kevin Durant. Are they coming back? Is he going to gel well with them when they do? And I think the answer is yes, but this is just to illustrate that there are questions about all these guys, right? The Grizzlies themselves, with everything going on with
it's
John
a parade outside my city. Sorry, I had to say it. That's my new chant.
That's all right. No, I just want to point out that the margins between these teams in the West are narrow, right? But I don't think if you're talking in a 7-game series, I don't know if they're going to topple the Grizzlies if John Morant's back and playing his way. I don't know if they're actually, I feel quite confident that they might not make it past 5 or 6 games against the Suns. I just don't think they do, man.
Are the Suns even?
If you're telling me right now, if they're all
Let's
back
talk
healthy
about it.
right now, let's talk about
If we're looking at a roster, and Jules, hop in at any point in time and give your opinion. What are we? Everybody's crowning the Suns. Their bench sucks. They suck. Their bench sucks.
It's the playoffs,
really
and they're playing 40 minutes a game with Kevin Durant and Chris
Bro,
Paul.
we keep
and Devin
talking
Booker.
about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. The guy's injured right now.
Okay,
Is he going to be able to come back?
Still
He
got
got
DeAndre
injured in a
Ayton.
warm-up. He got injured in warm-ups. He got injured in warm-ups. And we're ready to say, you know what? They're going to be a championship team that come out the West because of Kevin Durant and his injured. He injured his calf in warm-ups.
The Lakers got a big 2. The Suns got a big 4.
The Lakers have a more deep team right now. They have a better. Listen. When I look at it, and don't talk to me about Chris Paul chokes in the playoffs.
If we're going
He chokes
7,
in the
8
playoffs.
deep on the rosters when we're talking about the playoffs, and you're playing your best guys constantly because you're not trying to keep them fresh anymore.
Chris Paul.
How much is that
gasses-
depth going to matter?
Chris Paul gasses after the second possession.
Good thing
Yeah,
you've
it's
got
fine.
Kevin
I'm telling
Durant
you.
who can literally make a shot out of anything.
What about
Can
can he stay healthy?
Can LeBron stay healthy?
That is
Can
a fair.
Anthony Davis stay
But
healthy?
guess what? Let's
No.
talk about this for a second. Anthony
I'm
Davis.
saying
Anthony Davis.
everybody's healthy, full strength.
Anthony Davis has been healthy. Let's talk about this for a second, though. I'll trade you. Okay, I'll trade you.
Go ahead.
LeBron James is injured, right? Let's say LeBron James is injured,
Supposedly a torn
right? And
tendon in his foot.
let's say Kevin Durant is injured, right?
Sure.
Because they both can't stay healthy right now. Who are you picking out of those teams to come out to win that series? Because I know I'm picking.
It's closer. I know who
Oh
you're
no.
picking.
No.
Are you saying without LeBron?
Without LeBron,
He's saying
D'Lo,
no LeBron, no KD.
Anthony Davis.
It's DeAndre Ayton,
What do you mean?
Chris
Did
Paul,
we
and
just
Devin
not
Booker
see-
versus Anthony
Did we
Davis.
not just see what the Lakers did to them the other night when they faced them?
I would pick the Lakers.
Oh yeah,
I
100% we're
would.
picking the
I'm not
Lakers.
gonna lie.
So you're Daniel.
Yeah.
You're picking Chris Paul, who does not show up in the playoffs, to show up in that series. Chris Paul at how old is Chris Paul now? 40, almost 40, whatever age he is.
He's old.
We're expecting Chris Paul, who gasses
Hang on.
up in the second.
How old is LeBron again?
38 years old, and he still plays
Yeah,
like a
but
freaking
LeBron,
unicorn.
I was gonna say LeBron doesn't play like his age. He plays at least 5 years younger than his age.
Chris Paul is a year younger than LeBron.
And Chris Paul
but
still
LeBron-
doesn't show up in the playoffs.
Yeah. LeBron's. I can't even put Chris Paul and LeBron in the same.
I'm telling you right
sentence.
now, D'Lo would cook Chris Paul in the playoffs. He'd cook him. He would cook him. Chris Paul's gassed now. He can't. His old body can't hold up the way it used to anymore. Chris Paul is gassed by the time the playoffs come around. Gassed, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying right now is, 100%. Any day of the week. Any day of the week, I'm taking the Lakers without LeBron James over the Suns without Kevin Durant. Any day of the week.
Mhm.
Any day of the week. I'll bet you a Chick-fil-A shake on it. 100%.
Can I be a part of that? I like.
I was
100%.
just saying, Yeah.
I think the disrespect has
I
gone
would
too
love
far
two Chick-fil-A shakes.
for
That'd
this
be awesome.
Lakers team.
I still don't think they're gonna make the finals, but I do think they're gonna.
But
make the
here's my
Suns.
issue. Who is
Depending
their
on when they
biggest
play.
competition in the West if they're healthy? Who is their biggest competition in the West? The Grizzlies aren't mature enough. They aren't.
Mm.
They have no big man right now. Who? Please, someone tell me. Anybody. Crickets. 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 The Nuggets
Brother,
don't show up. The Nuggets are the greatest regular season team.
Yeah, the Nuggets are not.
So we're
that
just
great,
we're just
man.
taking for
But I
granted.
don't-
Okay, the Lakers are going to show up and everyone's going to be healthy and everyone else is
No,
going to be too immature or too able to put it together.
Listen,
like,
listen, my mom told me something when I was growing up. You know what she said to me? She said, Malik, baby, she said, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And guess what? The past behavior of the Grizzlies, the past behavior of the Nuggets have shown me those teams are obsolete in the playoffs. They're a non-factor. They need a higher power or something different, a narrative to take them over the top because they haven't been that. So yes, no, I'm going with the demon. I'm going with the devil that I know. I'm going with the guy that has made more finals appearances than any of these teams probably combined. LeBron James.
talk about
That's what I'm
people.
taking.
You talk about people showing up for the playoffs. How about the Warriors, man? You feeling good about the Lakers in a 7-game series with the Warriors? Would the Warriors have a home field advantage
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
because they can't win on the road? But if they
Let's
can
talk
win
about
4
this.
at home,
I don't know what's going on with the Warriors this season. I don't
never
know.
They just can't win on the road. Period. I don't know.
Yeah.
They just forget
The
how to play
Cavs gonna do
basketball.
that for a while,
They
too.
get space jammed in the visiting
Right.
locker
So
room.
so
They always make sure to beat the Cavs, though.
They all, yeah.
For
So
whatever
I don't know.
reason.
I just think it's weird. They're going through a weird.
They
Draymond
definitely are,
knows. Draymond knows this is it for him with the Warriors. You know what I mean? Like
I just feel like we're saying if everything falls right for the Lakers,
no.
absolutely.
I'm not. I don't even need everything to fall right for the Lakers. I'm just saying right now they have somebody. Listen, their biggest issue when LeBron was getting hurt is they had nobody to run the offense and they had nobody to score effectively. They now have that with D'Angelo Russell. When he works out whatever kink injury he's got going on, they've got a guy that can run the offense effectively for them. In D'Lo, they have that. They don't need 38 old man James to go out every single night and put up 33 points. They don't need that anymore. They don't need that anymore. They just need him to play his role. They need Anthony Davis to play his role. When you ask those guys to do more than playing their role, guess what? That's when issues come up. But here's the best part that people aren't forgetting. That people are forgetting. Not just D'Lo, but now Dennis Schroeder is the backup point guard, right? So now they have another guy who can run the offense that can help, ease the burden on a LeBron James or on an Anthony Davis. So Anthony Davis, you don't have to worry about defense, catching rebounds, and being the primary scorer for the Los Angeles Lakers because clearly your body's not able to hold up to that.
Reeves has done a good job of playmaking for them too recently.
He definitely has. And somebody asked me the other day, was like, do you think Reeves is better than Caruso? And I said, that's a good question. I don't know. I think Caruso was a little more consistent than him.
I think Caruso gave you that Derek Fisher kind of presence where he's like a veteran, he's stable, you know what you're going to get out of him, but the ceiling's not quite there. Whereas with Austin Reeves, sometimes the highs are that high, and sometimes you get that night like the other night where I think he was 3 for 13, but like that. It's the NBA. That happens, Right. I don't want to hold that against him and, hold him and be comparing him to Derek Fisher, who is obviously a great Lakers point guard. But no, I agree. I understand your argument that you have those alternative ball handlers to help LeBron to ease that burden on him, especially with the injury, especially with the age, save him for the minutes that are important, right? I just think you're asking for a lot if you're saying,
and I might be.
D'Angelo Russell is going to be healthy, and LeBron is going to stay healthy, and Anthony Davis is going to stay healthy, and everything's just going to mesh real well. I'm like, man, I could play that game with a lot of teams.
But if you, in Jules, I'm curious to hear your opinion too on this. I'm not just saying LeBron has to be. I'm really saying screw LeBron for a second. I really think that this team is really damn good without LeBron. I think with LeBron, they can be a great team. That's what I think. I think they're really, really good because then it's almost like the New Orleans Pelican days where AD could just be a dominant big man and he's got the point guard to just dish it around him. That's how I'm viewing it. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I'm viewing it. I just think that there's been a lot of disrespect the Lakers' way, all because people just don't want to see LeBron succeed. And I'm not saying Evan has said that or Jules.
I was like, I love LeBron.
No, not you guys. I'm talking about from the outside noise. There's been a lot of just, the Lakers aren't going to do anything because people are just so, gassed from hearing all the Lakers news. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Jules? Anything else you want to add to the whole Lakers potential championship run this year?
I mean, I don't know. I am just worried about, obviously, it's all hypothetical because we don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs for sure. They have to win the play-in, first of all. I don't see that.
Well, they still have a shot. They still have a shot at the playoffs. They still have a shot at the playoffs, actually.
Yeah, that's 2.5 games between them and 4 right now. Yeah. So hypothetically, if everybody in front of them lost for 2 games, they could be 5 and 6 seed.
They were just in the playoffs the other night.
That's literally the narrow razor thin margin that you're working with in the West right now, which is just kind of laughable when you look at the difference between that and the East right now.
That is crazy. It is pretty wide open, honestly.
Lakers going a little bit of a run.
Lot more open.
And I think they may play a team or two that's ahead of them right now coming up. So, they really can't afford to lose any more winnable, easy. I won't say easy, but winnable games when it comes to like facing a Bulls.
Can't be dropping the Rockets game.
You can't be.
You can't do that. Even the Cavs. I mean, come on.
Right.
Cavs. Big Cavs fan.
Big Cavs fan.
And it is impressive that they've been staying afloat since LeBron's been out too. I mean, you obviously knew LeBron was out, but it's not like their record suffered that much when he was. Which is pretty impressive.
If you ask me, I think they kind of found themselves.
Yeah.
Well, according to Jay Williams, you shouldn't even bring LeBron back anymore because, like, how could you? Austin Reeves has been playing so well.
Oh my god,
that was some of the stupid.
Well, those guys have their takes for other reasons.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're telling me the guy who called David Ajabo a stand-up third down linebacker who needs to learn how to play in coverage? You're telling me Keyshawn might not have actually watched David Ajabo in college?
I have a lot of thoughts that I'll tell you off air about those guys. But listen, that's all the time that we have here. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of the Sit Down Malik Wright, presented by First Star Logistics. We are live from the First Star Logistics studio. Tomorrow we'll be back here for the official sports betting show. It's presented by First Star Logistics and sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. The right bet tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, as we hope to make you guys some money. But Wednesday is the big show. Wednesday is the huge show where we'll be doing a special War Room episode of State of the Jungle. It's a show for all Bengals fans and all NFL fans in general. We'll be breaking down all 7 round picks for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, sir.
This upcoming Wednesday, we're going to have it like a true live War Room, set up the whole 9 yards and bring your questions, your comments, and feel free to, jump in and ask questions as well. I'm pretty pumped up, excited for it. We'll have a special guest joining us as well. You guys may know him as John Sheeran on Twitter. Pretty excited for that. We're excited just to bring you guys nonstop action as we'll be breaking down all the Bengals picks. We'll be debating and arguing. We'll have a 10-minute timer as on each and every single pick. And we hope to find some common ground on some picks that may come up. We'll be starting with 28 and we'll follow all the way through. I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty excited. Jules, I know you're not going to be on that show, but I know you're going to be watching.
Oh,
right?
I'll be watching.
Oh, we cannot wait because guess what? State of the Jungle. This is what it's about. It's a show for the Bengals fans, and we hope to include you guys into the conversation. If you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, right? I don't know how many likes we're at right now, but also subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is our big goal. We're trying to hit 4,500 subscribers. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we do go live. But until next time, we'll see you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow.